Tomorrow, the reckoning begins. On Gunning for CPS, the podcast, Gunner Evers takes the fight straight into the CPS system, from Blount County to the constitutional battlefield. This is not a whisper. This is a call to watch, learn, participate, and challenge the immunity that protects suppressors of God-given and constitutional rights. Jessica Saxton of Blount County joins Gunner to tell her story, and a mysterious guest, described as a secret prostitute who may not be who she seems, steps into the fire. If you care about your family, your rights, and your community, do not look away. Watch Gunning for CPS The Reckoning, Sundays at 9:30 p.m. EST.
I'm, just your average parent trying to do right by my kids. Never thought I'd have to, deal with something like this. It was a regular Tuesday afternoon. The kids' toys were scattered everywhere. Then there was a knock at the door. My heart sank when I saw who it was.
Hello, I'm from Child Protective Services. We've received a report and need to inspect your home.
I didn't know what to do. They wanted to come in, look around, talk to my kids. My hands were shaking. I felt like I was doing something wrong even though I knew I wasn't. But then, I remembered something I'd read online about knowing your rights. I took a deep breath and said, "I'm sorry, but unless you have a warrant, I can't let you in." The CPS worker looked surprised. They weren't used to parents knowing their rights. It wasn't easy, but I stood my ground. I protected my family's privacy that day. Remember, when CPS knocks, know your rights. It can make all the difference.
I thought I heard you calling. Lord, I answered with an open heart. She walked in with a Bible and a hopeful prayer. Signed the papers, said, "I'm ready, take me there." They smiled and said, "You're saving lives today." But behind the doors, the truth began to fray. Money flowing, quotas rising high. Families broken while the system lies. Kids in trauma shuffled through the night. She held them close but couldn't make it right. Every form they signed, another chain. Every check they cashed, another name. This is a license to parent, a paper crown on a broken throne. They call it rescue, but it's tearing families apart. Lord, I came to serve, but I found a different heart. Now I'm speaking truth in the dark. License to parent, it's time the truth is heard. Case workers turning, judges playing God, parents fighting just to get their children back. They say best interest, but the funding says otherwise. Hearts get shattered while the paperwork multiplies. I saw the fear in little eyes, so I promised safety, but it was just another ride. I prayed for justice, prayed for light to shine. God said, "Daughter, now it's speaking time." No more silence, no more pretty lies. The system's failing under gospel skies. This is a license to parent, a paper crown on a broken throne. just begun. I thought I heard you calling. Now I know exactly why. Licensed to parent, the truth will never die.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're doing all right tonight. I want to thank the Punisher for making that song, doing that demo there, and doing all the graphics for tonight's show. It was wonderful. I hope that you guys are touched by all of the things that he does and all the shows that he puts on to make sure that everybody stays educated. And that we all stay upright and taking nourishment, as he likes to say. Let me respond right here to this. I wanted to talk to you guys tonight. It's my first time, never done anything like this, so I'm just gonna start by giving you a quick overview of who I am. I am a mom. I'm a mom of 7 children. 4 of my children were adopted out of the foster care system, and 3 of my children are my biological children. My oldest children and my youngest child are biological. So one of the first things that I want to touch on before I start absolutely anything, because I've been on this forum for a long time, for about 18 months since CPS intersected with my life very negatively, like the rest of you. And that subject is something Tiff talks about, and I've heard other people talk about, and that is when foster parents or adoptive parents use the phrase, my kid, that's my son, or that's my daughter. And so with that comes a lot of different little facets, and we touched on that before. If you watched Tiff and Punisher a few days ago, we talked about the differences between being a foster home and being a foster to adopt home. So being a foster home is full-time foster. Kids come in and out. There's no intention of a long-term something. Most of the people who do that, what I've come to find out after 17 years being around and in the system and meeting these people, is that most of the people that foster full-time are caseworkers themselves. Actually, I met multiple caseworkers whose husbands stay home and foster children. I've also met a lot of family members, people who are family members of caseworkers, people who understand the system and know how to monetarily maximize it. Those are the people that you're going to find as foster parents. Then there's a whole other section of fostering, which is called foster to adopt. So currently, I think it's foster month, right? Like foster awareness month or foster care month. And so those campaigns, you'll see them on the billboards, you'll see them all over. There probably commercials come on TV. I don't watch TV, but I'm assuming they do. They used to. And they were so heartfelt, bring a little tear to your eye. And always, at the end of a 35-second commercial, everybody's laughing. And you feel so good about what you think that looks like. So campaigning for foster care month is what they're actually doing, is campaigning for foster to adopt homes. right? Because the care homes, they're already taken. Like they don't want anybody to come and foster unless you're in on the game or you may out them. So when they say foster care month, they're looking for foster to adopt homes, and they're looking for people who want to, um, become what they see on a Lifetime movie, become what they believe um, is good, all that's good in the world, an adoptive parent. Um, so for me, it comes very, very naturally, understanding the system, understanding all of your hurts and victimizing system, that, that there was pain in the phrase, my kids, my daughter, my son. Um, and so I have our first adoption was 17, 16 years ago, and then again 14 years ago. Um, so for me, that just comes very naturally, and it comes naturally and rolls off my tongue like that because I was trained. I was trained by the adoption agency. I was trained by the foster care trainers, the caseworkers who train you when you're becoming um, an adoptive parent. So you go through all these trainings, and they want you to express to the child that's so important for the child's psychology, that they feel welcome, that they feel like they're a part of a system. And so you bring them in from day one and you make no distinction. Um, and in hindsight, of course, I didn't know then what I know now. So I would um, never do that now. But uh, having that been my history and my situation for the last 15 years, that is the verbiage that I use. I've met both of the um, biological families, and we'll get into talking about those and those processes and stuff as the shows go on. But for now, I would really love to hear how you guys feel. I know some of you, either your children aren't home, um, they've been kidnapped from you, they're in a foster home, maybe they're with a relative. Um, so what is the verbiage that they use with these people, and what are you hearing? Because my training um, with the system was, like I said, 17 years ago, and I'm curious what that sounds like now, what they're being encouraged to um, another private chat, so I'm just closing it. I was afraid I was going to miss something, but I'm just like, no, I'm not. I'm good. So I'd love to hear, Becca. Do you have some feedback on this? I know you've been around the block and in this forum and meeting with all these people, this family for a long time. What have you heard? What do you know?
So I mean, not necessarily. I don't think the verbiage has changed much, realistically. Um, I just think that because I believe me, myself, and I believe they just kind of, they don't even really bring out the whole foster to adopt versus foster, foster home, because I didn't know the difference until you even told me. So I had no idea there was even a difference, realistically.
I didn't either when I originally I felt so good. I saw a commercial on TV. It was probably foster care month. I don't know.
Probably.
Um, but I made a phone call the next day, and I just inquired what did that look like? What would that mean? Of course, I couldn't wait for my husband to come home and say, "Oh my gosh, I got this information," and blah blah blah. Well, they set us up to go to our initial meeting, and at the initial meeting, there was a lot of let's use the phrase shady
Mm-hmm.
people, okay? And they were all trying to be foster parents. They were all there for their like annual training. Some of them weren't new. They were like re-upping their credits
Yeah,
or
their
right.
certifications or whatever.
So that for the very first 2 minutes of that initial meeting, we're in this room. It's this government building. It's trashy. It looks like crap. It smells weird. And they begin by saying, some of you've called in, blah, blah, blah. You might be new around here. If you are here and you're hoping to adopt, if your track is to adopt, not to have kids rotate in and out, but to have a permanent placement,
Hmm.
uh, follow me.
Oh,
So, like 6 people in this room of 120 people.
geez, there was that many people.
Oh yeah, and this was just one county, just quarter thing. Um, And so me and my husband and these other 4 people go into this other area. They walked us down this big long area all the way through. And we go to this other room. And now this room, carpeted, there's white cloths on the tables, there's flowers in the
Oh,
there's donuts and snacks on the table and refreshments for your pleasure. Um, and a big screen TV, and somebody comes in looking very professional, not at all like the meeting we just walked out of.
right. They were just trying to sell that. That's for
And of
sure.
course, and it wasn't like we just got there and we barely noticed because my husband, the other couples who were there who were looking to adopt, who didn't know what, the system, um, we just didn't know. So, but we got there early because we're excited,
Well,
right?
yeah.
We're doing something great. We're like, oh, it's like your baptism, right? You're like, oh my gosh, church doesn't start till 8, but we can get there at like 7. It's fine. Um, so so we get there early. We're sitting in the front. All these other people they get there 15 minutes late. The meeting didn't even start till late. But they've been around the block before. They've been here. They've been doing this for decades. These
Hmm.
foster parents. And we're the only 6 newbie idiots in the room. And immediately, the very first thing they do is ask us to, present ourselves. Who's looking for something full time, permanent? And they whisk us into another room with a completely different atmosphere, completely different lighting. The music is on. There's a big screen. They're showing us slides. Clicking the button, and it's
Hmm. They were selling it
blowing out.
essentially.
Oh, they were selling us a
Hmm.
product, right? Um, a, a trust,
Hmm.
right? But we have no idea. So we're just so pleased to be chosen,
Yeah. You think you're
uh,
special.
to be allowed to be one of the people who gets to go over there in that room. you know, all you
Yeah.
guys can stay in this room. With that woman, and like the woman who was doing it was like this big burly, she just looked like her name was Bertha. You didn't, and I'm a tiny person. I'm a
Look like
I'm a
Miss
itty bitty.
Trunchable, huh?
Yeah, exactly. But looking back on and reflecting, has been the most eye-opening thing over the last year and a half for me.
Hmm.
Like wow, and even before this year and a half, when I describe adoption to other people, because some of our children came with pretty severe emotional needs, um, psychological needs, physical needs. Um, but they didn't tell us any of this before.
Oh no, because they're going to code it because they're trying to sell it. They're not going to
Correct.
tell you the
No,
horrors and the what all they've been through, the trauma.
right. And so I always describe adoption as like you're buying a house. Okay, so
Hmm.
you have a real estate agent. The seller has a real estate agent. That would be their CPS worker, right? for the kids,
Mhm.
and they are not going to tell you if that basement is leaking.
Mhm.
No,
No full
as long
disclosure.
as the inspector with that, and that would be the judge, right? The judge at the sign off when I go to an
Uh-huh.
adoption and I'm in the courthouse, and you're expecting like if anything's nefarious, surely the judge will step in at this point. So it must all be okay. It must.
Deception.
Um, because when you don't know, you just don't know.
Yep.
And then when you do know, it's like
Too late.
you
The damage
can't
is already
not
done.
know. So people who continue to foster, people who continue to adopt, people who are they like to pat themselves on the back because they're like these rotating parents that go into the group homes and
Hmm.
they stay for like 8-hour shifts or something. But the kids never have a steady parent. They never have anything steady. Um, all of these people, if you've been working there more than 6 months, you're in on it.
Mhm.
You may not be getting a kickback, you may not be getting your cut, but you know what's happening and you are choosing to look away.
Mhm. 100%.
Because, and I've tried to look at it every which way from sideways. I've talked to, like I said, our situation, we started adopting 17 years ago. So I had a lot of friends who I interacted with that we connected on this point,
Mhm.
right? Not anymore.
You
Not
find out who
anymore.
your friends are.
I'm the loneliest mom there is
Mhm.
because I don't, I, I can't interact the same with people who don't understand adoption and kids with special needs and raising a child that didn't come from your body and what that means and how much grace that takes and how much patience that takes and how much
Mhm.
laundry soap that takes
Right.
and like all the little things. Um,
Mhm.
so and then other people they don't have an appreciation or they hate because they don't want to hear, and I think that these channels a lot um, miss the opportunity to talk to people like me,
Mhm.
because there's been plenty of times, and now I'm trained in I'm a mental health counselor. That's my training. That's what my master's degree is in. Um, so when I hear things that I understand other people can hear on this channel, and it will hurt their feelings.
Mhm.
If you're a foster parent, if you're an adoptive parent, if you're just coming to light, if you didn't know then what and you're trying to learn, you can be very put off by
Discouraged, essentially.
very discouraged to continue on with these kind and to become educated. And
Mhm.
so people will tune out very quickly and just go like, well, yeah, I'd rather not know. I'll go back to my life. It was fine.
Yeah.
It was
They'll
fine
just put it
before I
away.
knew. So why no?
Yeah. They'll just put it away. Like,
Knowing
oh, it didn't
hurts, I
happen.
don't want to know because
Yeah.
that's society today. That's the crappy reality of being a short-sighted American, you know.
Mhm.
Like we got an 8-second scrolling and that's it. People don't want to pay attention and they definitely don't want to focus
I
on
don't think they want the truth. The
on
truth is
because the truth
scary.
hurts and
Yeah.
it requires if you just sit down and let it hurt. And I know that anyone on this channel, anyone listening, anyone who does a show on this channel, everyone can say, if you just sit down and let it hurt, you stop. If
Mhm.
you know, and you cannot help but be so disparaged by the whole system
Mhm.
and how we're gonna and the idea of trying to fix it. Like how the hell do you fix it?
Mhm.
What does that look like? How do we get together? How does that become a movement? Um, and so I want to keep those people encouraged, and I really want for kind of them to have a safe space to come and ask questions also of you guys, like I'm asking of you now. So for me, I can let it roll off my back. I've had clients, people have said some amazing things to me. So I've learned over the years, you know, that it's okay and I can accept it and take that. But I would love to hear how other people feel, not necessarily when I use that phrase. That's not what I mean. But I want to hear your story when you hear um, your child calling your sister or a foster parent who maybe doesn't want to adopt. Maybe they don't have a long term investment in your child, or maybe they do. Even if they do, um, you can't deny their biology. My children have always known that they were adopted. They were older, not older, but they were 4, 5, 6 when we adopted
Mm-hmm.
them. Um, so old enough to understand and know. Um, and I asked them as the years went on, like, do you, and especially as they got older and became adults, most of them are adults. Um, do you want to reach out to your biological family?
Mm-hmm.
Need my help with that? Do you have questions? Because I had some information about their biological families. Most of it I had shared with them, but I also let them know, if you have questions, you can ask me,
Mm-hmm.
and I'll try to find the answer.
Yeah.
Um,
And that takes a lot as a parent, I mean, as a mom, you try to essentially, be there for your child. And like my mom was adopted, so like my mom never went and looked for her biological parents. But when I became an adult and I started having kids, I actually went to my grandmother, who was the one that adopted my mom at 6 weeks old. I went to
right.
her and I was like, I'm not trying to replace you. I don't want you to feel like that, because she was the best grandma ever.
Sure.
I couldn't have asked for a better grandmother,
But you want
so
to know your history.
yeah, I mean, and essentially that was it. I was like, it was just more for medical purposes. I mean, not even really, anything personal, because I know her today and still don't have a relationship with her, so that takes a lot out of, it takes a lot from a foster parent's, point of view to be accepting and be okay with, sharing the fact that, yes, you're not my biological child, but I still love you the same, but I'll still help you if you still want to have a connection with your biological parent.
Right. And we're not foster. We never did foster. We were always foster to adopt. And I know that this is new verbiage for your show.
Yes.
Um,
So yeah, foster
so,
to
so
adopt.
I'm saying it again, not to shame you or correct you, but just to keep putting it out there so that we can all, because it's important that if we open
We
up
actually
those
differentiate it.
umbrellas, then we can get more educated about the truth of the system. If you
Hmm.
try to put it all together, if you try to be like foster and adopt, foster, we you can't write the bills the way you want to. You can't fight the
Hmm.
system the way you think you are, because adoption is always going to look good
Hmm.
at the court. The court is always going to find that favorable. Always, always, always. Um, which sucks. It's not right.
No, definitely not.
Um, and which is why they don't really want you to adopt. That's why foster care month isn't called adoption month.
See, that's where you get confused. See, that's where I was confused, because I didn't know. It's always been the
Because
same to me.
right. You think you see these little commercials and it's always, hey, they're parenting these children. But that's not what a foster home looks like. A foster home looks like, you know, up at 6, catch the bus by 7, eat breakfast at school, eat lunch at school, go to after school. The karate school bus will pick you up from the after school at 5 o'clock and you'll stay there till 7. I'll pick you up at 7 with a drive-through meal, give you some sort of pharmaceutical to make you fall asleep. All of my All of my kids came to us on bags full of pills.
Jeez.
And they were children, babies. I mean, they're 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then that's it. That's their day. The foster parent interacts with the child, any given weekday for maybe an hour and a half.
An hour and a half.
And then on the weekends, they're offered respite care. They're offered for the kids to go to camps over the summer, so that, therapeutic camps. Probably. And so the kids will leave for 6 weeks. They'll go to these therapeutic camps. Well, while the children are at these summer camps, the foster home is still reaping the check. They're still claiming that my household is blank amount big, so they're still getting the food stamps for the month, for the summer. They get all the benefits anyway. And they literally only have to parent that child for, maybe 2 hours a day on average.
Jeez.
Now, foster to adopt homes are highly discouraged through the system, I've come to understand. So they do everything they can with the 6 of us that went to the other room, and they made it look so nice because they don't want to be in trouble. Because we're not in on it.
Yeah.
Okay.
They don't want you getting a whiff of that.
Correct. So it wasn't about, hey, we really want you to adopt. We're trying to sell you on adoption. That's not what it was about.
Because they're not trying to sell you on adoption.
Correct.
Really.
No. Now, I had already had a couple of babies prior to having my interest peaked to adopt. And, nobody asked me, like, do your dogs have their rabies shots?
Right? Like, that is so invasive. Like,
Does your car have insurance?
that is just crazy.
Do you use pesticides on your lawn? Is there a fence around your pool? When was the last time you had your dental cleaning?
Right?
See, I can push out babies all day long, and I don't have to be licensed
Yeah.
parent until you want
Put
to
in that
parent
funding.
through the system, through the government. They
Mm-hmm.
ask you, they put up these billboards, they put up these calls to action, right? Come
Mm-hmm.
and help the children, for goodness sake. How
It's
heartless
coming to
are you
come and
not
help the
to
government's
call the
pocket.
phone number? Just call the
Right?
phone number. So I did. And I'm glad I did.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not glad I did. My husband and I were talking about me doing this podcast, and kind of, he was like, well, how does that look? You're not regretful that we've adopted. And I said, of course not. But
People should know the truth of what it really underlies in that system.
and even if I knew then what I know now, I would have probably still done it, because I also know now how broken the system is,
Mm-hmm.
and that it wasn't going to get fixed in time for these poor children to be okay,
Mm-hmm.
to get through, not molested, not lost, not
Mm-hmm.
drowned in somebody's backyard pool. I was that person. And so, I'm glad for that. But my ultimate prayer, of course, would be, and it always has been, that the biological families would be healthy enough, able, and willing to parent their children.
Mm-hmm.
And what I found was, once I came to meet them, which was years later, I reached
Mm-hmm.
out to the biologicals myself because I assumed that my children were going to start asking me questions pretty soon. They were getting at that age. I
And
want to
you
look
told me this, and
stupid.
this is the saddest part of the whole story.
Right. I'm mom. I'm supposed to know everything. So I'm trying to find out what I don't know. And um, boy, did I find out stuff. More stuff than you want to know. But ultimately, what I found out was they all wanted to parent their children.
Yeah.
Now, of course, if you're going to be in prison for the next 6 years, that's not an option. Um, However, there's family available, and there's dads, and that dads have families, and they did not do their diligence to find the biological fathers for at least three of my four adopted children. I
Mm.
know for sure. Um,
They just didn't
and
care enough to, realistically.
they very intentionally, right in front of me, discussed how they were just not going to pursue looking for the fathers at all.
Jeez. That's sick. Like,
Now, at this time, you understand the kids have been in my home for 6, 9 months.
mhm.
Okay. I'm changing diapers. I'm wiping noses. I'm doing the whole thing. My church is so proud of me. Everything's so wonderful and snotty and but wonderful. Um, but you just don't realize then that you should have been asking different questions.
Mhm.
I could have been asking different questions. Hey, why aren't we going to go pursue those dads? Don't those dads have siblings? Don't they have parents, cousins?
Mhm.
Isn't
Mhm.
there someone that wants to make sure that these children end up growing up knowing who they are, where they came from, what their little idiosyncrasies are, what their little ticks are, who that resembles?
Mhm.
Because I can't answer that for them.
And that's a big void for you. I mean, realistically, because you not being able to answer that question is heartbreaking for a mother. I mean, essentially, you don't have the answers, and it's one of those things where you just can't. I don't know what to say. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know how I can help you.
And I truly, you appreciate your saying that, it's hard for me and my position and my role. But I have to tell you, um, it was hardest, obviously, on the kids.
Mhm.
Because even for years and years, they turn 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Now I got, they're turning 20, 21, 22. They just keep going and going.
Right.
Um, and they don't ask me. When I say, hey, we can open this up. If you want to punch a pillow, if you want to be mad at something, like if there's absolutely anything that you need to process about this, let's address it.
And I think it's hard for them too
They
because they don't
always
want to
say,
hurt
they
you.
always say, no, no, good.
Yeah, they don't want to hurt you.
I understand that,
Mhm.
and I hate that
Mhm. I do too.
because I can't help.
Yep. And that's our duty. It's to help. It's to be there to help, to give them advice, do whatever we can. And when you can't do it, you just feel helpless. You feel lost. You
Right.
just
And those little billboards and those commercials, they convince you that, and all the Lifetime movies convince you that um, the children are being saved from blank, right?
mhm.
And the blank is always horrible. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, terrible. But then it turns out, 17 years of experience later, that it actually isn't that bad. In fact,
It was
it
poverty,
isn't
probably.
anything.
Realistically, it was probably poverty. It was probably something that was a one-off. Like it wasn't, that got them removed. It could have been something so petty or a lie.
Oh, I'm losing the service. Let's
Uh-oh.
see, am I still connected?
Yep,
I
you're
can't
still
hear
here.
you. There you go. I hear you now.
Let's see here.
But yeah, it's a pretty interesting situation to be in, and now
So you
now
mentioned before
talking
the
to
show
you
about
guys.
Georgia.
So Georgia is where my CPS case was.
Uh-huh.
Um, and Georgia is, as everybody says, they're like, we don't touch Georgia, we don't touch Georgia. I'm like, oh my goodness, somebody needs to touch Georgia. Somebody needs to like sucker punch Georgia. Like, don't touch it gently. Like we're gonna have to light it on fire because it is crazy. And that's where a lot of CPS workers, a lot of the system is totally rogue. Cobb County, DeKalb County, where Danielle's son is
Mm-hmm.
missing right now. I mean, these are areas that the caseworkers, first of all, to be a caseworker, I don't know if all of you know this. So, to be a caseworker, you do not have to have a degree in human services or
Mm-mm.
sociology or psychology or anything like that, right? You can
Nope.
have a degree in underwater basket weaving or cutting boys' penises off medical school or whatever. You can have your degree in absolutely anything. But if you fill out your application there, then you take um, a training. It's like a 3-day training.
Hmm.
And at the end of 3 days, they'll put you out on the beat with another caseworker for like a week. And now you have no degree, you have no training in this field whatsoever. You got a degree in music history or whatever, and you are 8 business days in, and on your 9th business day, you now have the power in your hands to kidnap children.
Mm-hmm. And let's talk about the fact that a lot of them don't even have children themselves.
They do not.
No. And I find that completely crazy.
Well, and let me tell you why they don't. As a psychologist, I'll give you my opinion, is because the people, like I said, if you work there more than 6 months or a year, you're in on it, right?
Mm-hmm.
So these kids, they get out of school, they get their degrees, they do a little internship maybe, but the people, when they start there, they're 21, 22 years old. These CPS workers, when they
Mm-hmm.
start. Um, and once they see the system and how it works and how you can just call in on your other clients and you guys can anonymously make up bullshit and we can do whatever we want, would you want to have kids?
Definitely not.
Because if you do, you're going to have to work there and kiss ass for the rest of your life, or you're going to risk them being kidnapped from you too.
Mm-hmm. I never even thought about it that way.
So these girls and the few young men, they learn real soon, like, don't bother. People can use it against me. They realize very quickly that families and friends, they weaponize CPS system too
Mm-hmm.
quickly and too easily with their anonymous phone calls. And so they make what they consider to be a very rational decision, to get their hair done and their nails done and not have kids, and most of them are well overweight. I guess they eat a lot. I don't know. But Um, that would be my opinion, is just that they don't want to, because they understand how ugly the system is and how heartbreaking.
Well, at least they're making a smart choice of not, I mean, on their behalf, that's a smart choice. Don't bring them into the world so you don't lose them. I mean, but I mean, still, they're doing, they're committing crimes regardless.
I mean, that's an extreme amount of evil. Like everybody,
Yeah.
they're sinning. They're sinner. They're not doing right. They're probably criminals. They're breaking laws. But to actually have an air of evil about you,
Hmm.
that's something else.
Yeah.
That takes work. You know, like being an Olympian. You have to build up to that.
Hmm.
And so when you meet these people and these caseworkers and these ad litems and attorneys, and you get that feeling and you're like, I just don't know. Yeah, trust that feeling.
Oh yeah, 100%. People don't realize, like, even the attorneys, people don't realize, they're like, oh, well, I'm going to get an attorney. I'm like, you know what? You cannot represent yourself. You can't, nobody can advocate for you or
Correct.
represent you better than you.
You're right.
And people don't realize that, how dangerous that is. And I
It
mean, and how
is,
much
because
power.
they they're allowed to walk in and negotiate on your behalf,
Hmm.
which actually I don't know if they're allowed to do that, but
No,
they
they
do.
do. No,
They
no, they're, yeah.
And they shouldn't be able to do that. Our first attorney um, charged us $23,000
Mm,
and told us, "Well, you're just gonna have to work it. You're just gonna have to work. You have to work with them."
yeah, that sounds like every public defender that there is. I mean, in a CPS case, I mean,
Yeah, well, he
and it's,
wasn't a public defender. He was
yeah, I know, and that's the even sad
a
part.
Atlanta attorney.
I know. That's the sad part, is that it's even paid attorneys. Paid attorneys are doing the same thing. And it's like, wait a minute here. I hired you to fight for me.
Right, but as soon as my case got started, I started listening to Tip and the Punisher. I started listening to Gunner. I started getting on with Toll and Roll and Fostering Reality. I started getting educated about everything. So I fired him and I went to another attorney. Him and his wife were attorneys, and I laid out the case for, basically I did all the paralegal work for them, thanks to you
Mm-hmm.
guys and everything I had learned. I said, here's how it is, here's how it's going to be. I need to pay you to walk in that room and say these words, do
Mm-hmm.
this. And they did that, and my kids were home in 3 days.
Yeah. You have to tell these people what to do, and that's technically their job. It is their job to do what you want them to do. Now, they don't majority of the time, because
They
they
don't.
essentially, no, they stipulate for you and they make those decisions for you. And
And the
they,
reasoning is because they're confused by the judges. The judges
mm-hmm,
have all the power, right? The judges,
intimidated too.
they know what the law is. They know how it should be. They know CPS is a completely rogue system. The juvenile court is a completely rogue court. Um, but they still play along. And
Mm-hmm.
so when everybody else is playing pretend world, and that attorney walks in there and he goes, "Hey, what are we doing today?" And they go, "Oh, we're all going to be goldfish."
Yeah.
And he's like, "Oh, well,
Yeah.
that he has nothing."
Yeah.
Because you can't fight a system that doesn't have any rules. And when the judge, who's the authority in the room, is sitting there going along, going, "Yeah, we're
Mm-hmm.
goldfish. Yeah, this is how it's going to be. We're going to stay in our bowl." And nobody else fights it. That's why most people won't take these cases. Attorneys won't take the cases when they say CPS. It's not because they're scared of the system. They're confused. They're concerned about what they don't know.
Well, and they know that there's no accountability for the judges regardless. So, I mean, and
Correct.
they have to work with these people on a daily basis.
So essentially, you're asking your attorney to play Russian roulette, depending on which judge you're going to get assigned to,
Mm-hmm.
and who wants to do that.
And for
As a
them in their career, that's scary.
Absolutely. Because when you tell a client, "Hey, I'm going to be able to do something for you," and then you get assigned a certain judge and you realize, "Hey, that's not going to happen," even though it should, even though it's right, even though it's legal, but they literally are signing off being like, well, I don't have the balls to go through with it just in
Mhm.
case. So I'm not going to take the case.
Yeah, and it's like, "Are you serious right now? Well, hold on a minute."
And
Like,
they're shameless. They're
mhm,
like, here's my backbone, here's my spine on a platter. You can take it with you. I don't have one anymore. And they don't care that everybody knows. It's
yeah,
like being a politician.
yeah. I mean, essentially, 100%. I mean, and these judges have no accountability, but these attorneys, they have to work with them on a daily basis. So I try to tell people, I tell people all the time, like, it does not matter if it's a public defender, if it is a paid attorney, they are not working in your best interest. You may think that, they may let you think that, but behind the scenes, they're all having communication with each other. They already know the outcomes before the court is even had. So I mean, essentially, you're the dummy in the room.
Right. Right. And the attorney came out to us, the first one, and wanted us to agree um, to being, what do they call it, dependent, to having
Yeah.
one of our children, one of our two children was dependent and not the other.
Oh, well, how's that work?
Well, one was adopted and not the other.
Oh, okay. So then that gives them jurisdiction over the adopted child.
Correct. Um, and that was their intention and their jurisdiction from the beginning. The very first interaction I had with the caseworker, she was writing up her safety plan, and she was saying, using very specific verbiage as she wrote it out. Yes, your biological children, blah blah blah, biological this, and she wrote it BC, biological
Mm-hmm.
child, right next to her and I knew she knew, even though I don't know her, never met her. I don't,
Mm-hmm.
we weren't on cordial terms. But you come into my house, I know damn well you know.
Mm-hmm.
And she just kept using this verbiage of, when your biological child comes home. Well, my other child, who's 16, 14 at the time, I've been raising since a week after his second birthday. And his two siblings also, who are adults now. Um, and I knew that she was playing a game. I could just tell
Mm-hmm.
it. I could hear it. If you listen close, they will
Mm-hmm.
tell on themselves.
Mm-hmm. 100%. And it's all about the wording and the verbiage because of federal funding.
Correct.
Because there has
And
to be
they,
certain requirements for federal funding, and their verbiage is what determines it all.
right. And they know exactly what they're doing.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
And they
100%.
bring these case plans, it had somebody else's information on it. It's copy and pasted. You can tell from multiple
Mm-hmm.
other case plans, we refused to sign it. Our children were gone for 53 days. Never had a case plan. Never had exigent circumstances. Never had a reason. And yet, when the judge awarded us custody of our kids to come back home, um, they didn't even stop then. Within an hour, they called us and said they wanted our adopted child back to do an interview at CPS.
Why?
I don't know. I didn't fucking ask. I called my attorney and told him to kiss off.
I don't blame you.
But they don't ever stop, and they won't, and
Oh, no,
they
100%.
they know, but they go through this verbiage. But as soon as we got our kids back, we'd never signed a case plan. They never provided any services to us. We never, went to therapy or did all these
Mm-hmm.
the things that you think
That
like
they're actually supposed to offer
that's
before
what
they
they
even
do.
remove
That's
your
how they help
child.
you. That's how they help you.
Yeah, right.
But they didn't help us, and yet our kids are home.
Hmm.
And somehow, multiple people are getting promoted. They're getting a raise. They're getting a pat on the back. They're like, good job. You reunified the family. You
That's
did
all a front.
nothing. You did nothing for us
We did
except
all the work.
the whole way. We did all the work,
Hmm.
but they never intended for us to adopt in the first place. They took us in that little room. Then they immediately tried to find ways to disqualify you. Well, do you have dogs? Do you have pets? Do you have a pool? Do you have this? Are there guns in your home? Do you keep your kitchen knives like in the kitchen? Because kids go in the kitchen. No.
Where else you supposed to keep them?
Literally. No, I was told that I can't keep my kitchen knives in the kitchen knife block
Oh,
on the counter.
so am I just supposed to lock everything up in the safe?
Yes, my Tylenol has to be in a lock box underneath my bathroom cabinet.
Okay, that's asinine. Like they
Now
don't
I
put those kind of restrictions on
I
biological parents. Why?
no, no, but they do it for adoptive parents because they're doing absolutely everything they can to disqualify you and to make you disqualify yourself.
Hmm.
Right. So when they say, well, you should have all of these safety things in place, and you go, oh, that seems like a lot. And geez, I've already got kids and we
And a
don't
lot
have
of people don't want to put in that effort.
maybe I'm not a good parent after all. Maybe I'm not as good as I thought I was. I don't want them to disqualify me and tell me no after we get partway through this process, because that'll be humiliating if I tell
Yeah,
everybody I'm going to adopt and then I don't adopt. So maybe I'll just quit now.
yeah,
And that's what most people do. They start the process and they never complete the process because they get disqualified.
that is crazy. That is just that. People, they just blow my mind.
And that's where relative care comes in, because relative care keeps them under the foster umbrella. They're still owned by the state. Your child is still owned by the state,
Yep,
even though
kinship
they're
care.
with your family.
Now, is there a difference in relative care and kinship care? Because that should be the same, right?
I believe that is the same. They just
Okay.
changed the name. So they also changed. So a few years ago, they changed the name, foster parents. So they're not foster parents anymore. I don't know if you know this. They're resource parents.
Oh, interesting.
Right. Yeah. So resource parents are supposed to be, they're just a resource,
Mm.
whatever that means, uh, for the government to use
Oh,
in the interim while they launder money off the backs of your children.
so we're slaves. Okay, thank you. We're just a resource.
Um, and then they put all of these processes in place that resource parents, and if you read the verbiage and the handbooks for resource parents now, they're supposed to be a resource to and a bridge for reunification. They're supposed to be open to meeting the biological families, providing visitation,
Mm-hmm.
funerals, creating and keeping that connection.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that sounds so good on paper,
But
but
it's
they
not how it's done in
literally get
practice.
paid by the caseworkers to not to.
Mm-hmm. But how it's done in practice and how it's implemented is totally different. I mean, you can know the manual, and a lot of the employees don't even know the manual. They don't even know their own policies, their procedures,
Right.
and that's
They
scary
don't.
because they're just
And they'll
taking
do
everything off on a
kickbacks.
whim.
They give kickbacks to foster homes that are in on it by like providing the summer care or the weekend respite care and stuff, and not taking away their daily stipend
Mm-hmm.
for their whatever their payment is, the foster, I don't know what it's called, just foster payment. Um, and so they won't take that, and it should be reduced for every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Every single day that child does not spend in your home, it's supposed to be reduced.
Mm-hmm.
But they don't do that for the foster people
No,
who are
so I'm curious
in
as to
on the
where all this money actually, because okay, so if they actually centralized on reunification, right? Um, you know, I think I've come to the conclusion, I don't know about you, but this is my opinion, that if they essentially did reunification, the parents know what services are being rendered, right? So they're not going to be complicit in all these services that they say they're claiming and that they're getting, but they're actually not. And where's that money going?
correct. So so the kids, these foster cares, they're caseworkers, but the caseworkers are also over like food stamps,
Mm-hmm.
Medicaid, things like that, right? So um, they will, if you're a foster home and you're getting foster care payments in your home, you're supposed to report that.
Mm-hmm.
But for their home, because you keep the same caseworker
Mm-hmm.
for your food stamps as you do your foster. So those foster homes, they go to their caseworker. The caseworker doesn't include the foster money that they're making. Now you have two people in the house and they're not working. They're only receiving $8,000 a month in foster, but their caseworker's not claiming that.
Mm.
Okay, so now they've got four kids in the house. So maybe there's six of them. Now they're going to get food stamps for six. They're going to get $1,400 a month of food stamps on top of the $8,000 a month that they're getting in cash that they're not claiming, and neither one of these people are working. And they're not raising the children because the children are in public school for 10 hours a day and after school. And then the little karate comes pick them up, and then respite care on the weekends, and then the summer camp. And they are making bank. Now, a lot of times, and when they have dirty caseworkers, and we'll hopefully I can get one of them on ex dirty caseworkers who what they will do is they will not claim that monies, and they will get food stamps for that home, but they'll have the food stamps, they'll pick them up there in office and say they're going to visit this home. They will take the food stamps out. Well, of course, that's not what they're doing. They take $1,500 worth of food stamps and they sell them or they use them and they get the money. The
Excuse
caseworkers
me.
do. And if
Excuse
they
me.
have, say 30 to 60 kids on their caseload, and each one of them is in a different household. So you have 30, even if they have 60 kids, you got a couple of siblings, say you got 30 different households. And those caseworkers can pocket $30,000 a month.
Do you have bulletproof windows or
In
doors?
yeah.
Because I think that you probably should invest because that's definitely out in a cow there for sure. Wow, you just blew my mind.
And that's
I've
that's
been
the
wondering where all
that's
this
that's
money
the
goes.
easy. And I don't know how you guys don't know that, because that's the easiest way that an individual caseworker scams cash dollars, at work.
Well, see, so in my state, like they're different. Okay, so like the caseworker's not the same for food stamps that it is for foster care or whatever you want to call it. It's not that they're not the same, but they're in the same building. So that I guess that kind of makes sense.
Right. They're the same. It's kind of like I don't know who was that politician that just got raided by the FBI right next to her headquarters, which was right next to her cannabis shop. Yeah, it's the same. It's the same.
Oh my gosh. But somebody did ask in the comments, what happens when CPS lies in court for kinship care? What does one do about that?
Well, so that depends, right? So see if CPS did CPS lie? Were you in court? Were you in the courtroom?
When
Or
they
were
lied?
you in a court session? Was the judge present
Mm-hmm.
while this was being discussed? Because that makes it record, right? And was it CPS, the actual worker, who said that they're moving towards kinship care or the attorney for DFACS.
Mm-hmm.
So
Because
if the attorney for DFACS said it, well, he can lie out his butt all day long and just be like, oh, well, we misunderstood and we're trying to work out the details and,
yes,
when
DFAC.
he
I guess it would be
correct.
yes. DFACs did say that.
So
Attorneys.
if the DFACS caseworker said that they're working towards kinship in front of the judge, then the judge did he not make a ruling on that during that court hearing? That the child or children would be with that family member?
Because essentially, what all
Or
happens
that
on
they
the
would
record.
follow that part of the case plan that's being presented by CPS?
Mm-hmm.
That was going to be accepted? Because the court has to accept that. Even though CPS says it, right? It's the judge is the ultimate authority.
And here's a lot of things that people don't understand either is that essentially, like what happens in court, it doesn't matter what happens outside of court. It doesn't matter what is said. It does not
Correct.
matter. It has to be
Well,
in
unless they're
court.
doing something wrong and you can get it videotaped, then it
Well,
matters.
that too. Yeah.
Yeah,
But I mean, essentially, what happens in that courtroom and what is on the record, like the whole case record,
correct.
is almost always their narrative. Okay. And when your attorney, because your attorney essentially won't file anything on your behalf. Even
Right,
though you ask them to, they won't file anything on your behalf. And you're sitting here like, well, that's not what was said. That's not how this works. Like, and the minute orders, I guess, are supposed to be what will clarify what actually happened in court. Now, if you can get those, that'd be great. But a lot of places are like, no, what? They say that that's not able to be given. Well, that's definitely not true because you have to have a record of what happened in the court hearing. Have to. And if it's not, then there's a big, big issue because I've come to find myself that when they don't record a court hearing that concerns CPS, regardless if they have dismissed it, they are supposed to keep this recording. Well, they didn't in my case from 2024. They didn't, and I was in contact with a civil rights attorney. She's like, you need to contact the Judicial Conduct Board. She's like, because that is a huge due process issue because they can't just have a court hearing and not be recorded. Like, and they took your kids. Like, what? Are you crazy? I don't
so
get it.
yes, if they have a recorded court hearing, definitely you want to get, and get a copy. Always get a copy, request a copy of anything that happens in court. Um, and if you have an attorney, or you're doing something yourself, you should be able to bring that back up. Hey, this was said.
I was in
This
court
was
sad
this
that
was
got
in court.
hold of family members, but when I asked my family, they said no. Asked to call them in court. My lawyer didn't call my family in. Is all on the record in court transcript.
Lord, I answered with an open heart.
Well, I guess we can touch base on this. This was our time essentially. We have Gunner's coming up on his show, so we got to let him have some time and some space before he gets his show going. So
I'm very excited about Gunner's show tonight. I hope you guys will all watch it. I know he comes on late. Sometimes I'm holding my eyes open. But sometimes I just catch it in the morning because it's still worth it.
So we will be back. Well, you will be back. Essentially, it's your show. You will be back next Sunday at 7:30
Yep.
ish. We always know Darren runs late, so
Perfectly fine. Thanks for coming in and talking with me. This is my first show. I would love to get some feedback. You guys send an email in and let me know what kind of things you want to hear me talk about and what kind of topics about foster or adoption are important to you so that I can help you with those. Thanks so much. Thank you, Becca.
you're welcome. Thanks. Have a good night.
Bye, guys.
They call it rescue, but it's tearing families apart. Lord, I came to serve, but I found a different heart. Now I'm speaking truth in the dark. License to parent. It's time the truth is heard. Caseworkers turning, judges playing God, parents fighting just to get their children back. They say best interest, but the funding says otherwise. Hearts get shattered while the paperwork multiplies. I saw the fear in little eyes, so I promised safety, but it was just another ride. I prayed for justice, prayed for light to shine. God said, daughter, now it's speaking time. No more silence, no more pretty lies. The system's failing under gospel skies. This is a license to parent, a paper crown on a broken throne. They call it rescue, but it's tearing families apart. Lord, I came to serve, but I found a different heart. Now I'm speaking truth in the dark. License to parent. It's time the truth is heard. For every child lost inside the machine, for every mother crying in between, for every foster heart that's breaking too, we lift this song and we declare it true. This is the license to parent. No more hiding what the system's done. We want real rescue, not another loaded gun. Lord, we came in faith. Now we stand as one. License to parent. The truth has just begun. I thought I heard you calling. Now I know exactly why. License to parent. The truth will never die.
Imagine being a child who has been torn away from their security blanket, their parents, the ones who stop the boogeyman from terrorizing the nights and curing their boo-boos when they scrape their knees. Now just imagine how they must feel when the CPS meant to protect them tears them away from their supposed abusers and places them with strangers who have zero comforting skills. They need to be calmed. They are confused, lost, panicked, and needing their parents, but CPS took them away for the purpose of saving them. The kids don't even know why, and they are told that the parents they attach to no longer want them. What do you think that does? Do you think that this is how protecting children is supposed to look? Abolish CPS.